Metal Up World, this is CJ with CJOrtiz.com and metalmotivation.com. This is the first of a new 5-message series I'm doing on Attitude is Everything. Now, this is all being shown in my Life Domination online coaching program, and you can learn more about that if you visit the link below. Attitude is everything. Isn't that typical of what some motivational speaker is going to talk about? Attitude, mindset, thinking. Yeah, man, all of these things are very, very important if you plan on doing anything significant with your life. If you plan on changing any area of your life, yep, all those things that you say that you hate, but you're still battling with. You got any of those? You got anything that you're still contending with? Anything that you're still battling with? Anything that you still want to change, that you have the power to change? I'm not talking about some sort of illness that you can't change. But anything that you have the power to change that you have not changed yet, well, that comes down to attitude, does it not? How you go through your day comes down to attitude, does it not? The relationships that you have, your participation in them comes down to attitude, does it not? Everything is shaped by attitude. So, of course, yes, we're going to talk about attitude, but it's going to be a little bit different in this particular series. This is the metal motivation domination way of life. So things are going to be just a little bit different, but attitude is everything. I mean, look at heavy metal itself. Isn't heavy metal about attitude? Doesn't metal itself feed your attitude? Doesn't it help you? Doesn't it boost you? Of course it does, man. This is why I set up this page to begin with. I did all this because of what metal did for me. I always tell people, listen, what metal did for me is what I'm doing for others. Metal was a positive force in my life, so therefore I want to be a positive force in someone else's life. Metal motivation, it is all about attitude. That's what metal up means. When I say, in whatever you do, don't suck, metal up. Metal up is an attitude. It is a state of mind. It is a particular approach to life. But someone will say, well, CJ, that's very simple. Or that's very simplistic. I want to listen to Dr. So-and-so and get into the inner depths and workings of the mind and all of these other things, or neuro-linguistic programming or this. Hey, go for it. Go for it. But I find all the people getting into all that stuff are still dealing with the same crap that everybody else is. Bad attitudes, can't lose weight, can't make money, can't get out of debt, relationships are suffering. So I don't know what these deeper things have brought to anybody's life. Again, more power to you. But I think we can probably change the majority of people, and the majority of people can change the majority of things in their life if they just dealt with their attitude. Dealing with attitude. Now, this came home to me again, which is why I'm doing it this week. Last week, I recorded the second episode of the Metal Excellence podcast with my co-host, Pat McNamara. If you have not heard that podcast yet, then I encourage you to go there, metalmotivation.com. Just look at the menu. It'll talk about podcasts, and you'll see Metal Excellence right there. It's a badass podcast. You'll get a lot out of it. But this week, Mac brought in a guest, someone that he works out with at the gym, guy by the name of Win Ford. He's about 6'6", deep voice. I had no idea what this guy had been through, but he suffered a debilitating form of leukemia that basically wiped him out. And again, you can hear his personal story on this particular podcast, but what he described was horrible and unimaginable. I just can't imagine going through that. I can't imagine the things that he dealt with. It was like I've never heard before. I had a brother who had cancer, and he described leukemia as unique amongst the cancers because other cancers can go into remission, but remission in his particular case with his leukemia only meant it didn't kill him today. That's it. So he lives in this constant awareness of the things that he can't do, the things that he can't control. And as he's a very wise guy, and so he really put it in word picture that really brought it home to me and Mac. But he described something to where it was a list of the things he could not control about his body, about his health, about his well-being, all the things he can't do that you and I can do every day. But he said this. He said, but the one thing that I can control is my attitude. The one thing that I can control is my attitude. And that is the determining factor in his life, his attitude, his mindset. And it blew me away. And it blew me away because I can't tell you how many times I have had to fight people on Facebook or you name it over the subject of attitude. People giving me attitude over the subject of personal development, insulting something like self-help, insulting something that I do, trying to help people, trying to build people. Or they'll tell me, dude, I can't just metal up. I can't just, no, you can do it. You can change your attitude. You're trying to hide behind that. You're trying to hide behind this excuse. Now you say excuse. I know you've been through a lot. I know you've experienced a lot of pain. I understand that. I'm not minimizing that. But here's the fact. You will change when you've had enough. When you've had enough, you will change. You look at anybody who's dealt with anything emotionally, trauma, psychologically, abusive relationships, you name it. Whatever the situation may be, you will find that people finally changed when enough was enough. At some point, they made that decision. Now, don't use your past as an excuse to say you can't just metal up. It just means you haven't had enough yet. And hey, I understand. If that's where you are, I understand. Just call it for what it is, though. Okay? And attitude is everything. So this guy, when he has nothing to go on but his attitude. That's all he's got. His attitude is what propels him. His attitude is what carries him. His attitude is what sustains him. With what you have, with what you're facing, may not be as bad as when, which means you and I have less excuses. I have zero excuse to have a bad attitude, just none whatsoever. Why would I make a life that I already think is difficult even worse by having a bad attitude? I want you to think about that. Why would I make the life that I claim is so bad, life living in this horrible world that everybody says that's coming off the rails, the world that's coming apart from the seams? Why would I live in such a horrible place and make it even worse, make my own journey even worse by having a bad attitude? Why would I do that? People do it. They do it all the time, man. They're going to go through this life, not enjoy the journey, but make it even more difficult, make it even worse by having a bad attitude about how bad things are. The one thing you can control is your attitude. What is an attitude? An attitude is a settled way of thinking or feeling about someone or something. It is a way of thinking, a settled way. And I want you to get your head around that word way, W-A-Y, a way, a way. It's a settled way of thinking about something or someone. It's about position. It's about, so again, the way you do something. You may be doing something the wrong way, right? The way is the attitude. There's an old French word that it's taken from, and I think this is pretty cool. It's from the 17th century, and it denotes the placing or the posture of a figure in art. You go and you look at the old statues and paintings and things like that. They were very particular about the posture of the figure, whether it's a sculpture or a painting, the posture of the figure in art, the way it's positioned, the way that it's postured. Again, remember that word, way. But one I particularly like is from aviation. Aviators use the term way as well. And what do they mean by it? They mean the way, the orientation of an aircraft relative to the direction of travel. The orientation of an aircraft relative to the direction of travel. You've seen airplanes land, right? Imagine a big commercial airliner. You see it coming to the runway, and it's like this. Is it flying the right direction? Sure. It's going to the runway just like it's supposed to. Is it flying the right way? No. It's flying the right direction, but it's doing it the wrong way, and it will crash just as easily. That's what they call the plane's attitude. the attitude. You see, your life might be heading in the right direction, but you might be going the wrong way. You might be postured or positioned in terms of your orientation to the direction that you're heading. You might be doing it the wrong way. And that may be why you're having such a bumpy ride. That may be why you keep wrecking into things. That may be why you keep colliding into things. It's the way that you do things. That, my friend, is your attitude. So that's what we're talking about all this week. What is our attitude? What is the way that we see things? What is the way? What is our mindset? How have we settled ourselves on a particular direction, path, person, you name it? What is our attitude? Can you dig that? I hope you can. So if you'd like to see the rest of these videos, you may do so in my Life Domination Coaching Group. You can do that by visiting the link below, metalmotivation.com/Life Domination Coaching. But hey, listen, I'd also love your support for everything that I do for you, articles, videos, all kinds of posts on the Facebook page. I do this for you. I ask for your support as well. You can do that by buying some of these cool shirts, man. Just go to metalmotivationstore.com. I got tons of shirts. You got the holidays coming up, man. We would make a great gift for somebody. Get them. We got male and female t-shirts and other kinds of cool stuff. So check that out. You can get to everything by my just regular website, metalmotivation.com. This is CJ, the Metal Motivator. And remember, in whatever you do, don't suck. Metal up.